Another follow-up on how to fence with both rapier and dagger. Previously I did a video that was saying, hey, if you just have to go into a tournament and you don't know how to use these and someone's just handing you a dagger and you have to fight in 5 minutes, what do? And my answer is generally to just put the weapons together. Some people will also say to set and forget. Historical treatises teach both. There's this one where you just keep the sword and dagger together, and there's also several historical masters who say to take your dagger and point it at the dominant shoulder of your opponent so that you can shut down pretty much anything that they're doing. But if you have a longer time period to learn rapier and dagger, I have a system. Basically, I teach this as a two-brainedness, which is basically just the opposite hemispheres of your brain controlling each individual weapon. That's really difficult for most people because most people don't work that way, and it takes a lot of effort to get there. My method is essentially the same method that I was taught when I was learning piano. You're using two hands in different times and at different rhythms. It's essentially the same. So what I'll do is I'll have the student perform a very rhythmic action that is monotonous and just on the tempo, on the beat, each and every time. Then I'll ask them with the other side to perform something complex, like a parry riposte, without dropping the tempo in the other hand. Then I'll have them switch, where this hand will be doing something very rhythmic, and you'll have to do something more complex with the other hand, such as a parry riposte, without dropping the rhythm. After you do that a bunch of times, you then give them more complex rhythms and you give them more complex actions. Eventually, they're able to do complex actions or complex rhythms in either hand simultaneously, but you slowly build them up to that. Each individual lesson getting more complex and more interesting until eventually they can just do both at the same time. The best thing about this method is that it doesn't have to always be inside of a lesson. I can send a student home with homework where they are just tapping with one hand, weapons or no, and then performing a complex task without dropping the rhythm of the other hand. You can do that at home, you could do that at work, you could do that with your kids, you could do that with your dog. You could do it anytime you want, and you're still always practicing.